Well, this is the double beard. So yesterday morning, I had turkey gobble up my owl call, and he was probably 400 yards away. I moved on him yesterday morning. Um, he started gobbling at crows and some cows off in the distance and stuff. And then once I got in position, probably 100 to 150 yards away from where I thought he was, he shut up. I never heard from him again. So I moved around a little bit yesterday. A lot of the time yesterday, I was just sitting in a lawn chair and took a couple naps in the lawn chair and did a little calling here and there. Moved one time, made a big loop around the property calling, and that was pretty much it for yesterday. But I know I was talking about this double beard in that when I showed those turkey beards that I have. And so I killed this turkey April of 2007. And in that turkey beard video that I did, I know I was talking about, I thought it was 2006. But it was actually, I believe it was 2005 that I killed the Jake and my first Tom. Because the following year, I brought a buddy of mine over there, and I killed a Jake that he called in for me. And then we got on a Tom, but we couldn't get him. We could get him to respond after like 30 minutes of calling, but then he would just respond one time, and we kept moving around on him. And then we went back again. It was the next time I took him was the very last day of turkey season, and he got one to gobble right at right after the sun had already went down. The turkey was already roosted up in the tree, like on the field edge, and I sat there and waited. He tried to sneak up on it, and I saw him going down the field edge, and I saw him shoot at the turkey. It was pretty dark, but I guess he didn't get it. I don't know, but I told him just leave the thing alone, but he wanted to go after it. So the following year would be 2007, and 2007, it was I don't think it was opening day, but it was that first week. And I think this is the same turkey that he had tried to get on the last day of the season of 2006, because this turkey came from almost the same, like he came from the same location, but I believe he came from the same tree. And it was a green field over there, that same green field that the farmer planted. And so I'm over on one side of the green field, and the I did I did a yelp, and this turkey responded. He gobbled. So I started moving. On him, and he was to my right. It's like I'm going straight ahead, but he's to my right. He's all the way on the other side, kind of like it's going to be like two angles. So I'm gonna have to. He's all the way across to the right. So I'm just following the field edge, going up, and I got to the corner. Now I turn to the right, and I'm facing more towards the direction that he's at. He's down on the other corner, and I called, and he gobbled. So I started moving again, and I almost messed up on him because I started moving through the woods. I had a decoy in my hand. I was going to set up a decoy, which I generally don't do. I generally don't do that, but for some reason I had like a little decoy that I was going to set up, and I had a decoy in my hand, and I moved through the woods, and actually saw him fly out of the tree. I heard the wings flap. I saw him pitch out of the tree. It was a big pine tree right on the edge of the field, and I saw him gliding towards me through the field. He went down into a swale. So when he pitched off, he went a pretty good distance. I saw him going through the woods coming towards me, and I sat down right there and sat on top of the decoy and got the gun up and got ready. And he was going. I think he was going to go to where I had originally called from, which is back to my back right. Because when I first saw a turkey moving through the woods. I picked him up to my right, down right on the edge of the field. He was on the inside of the woods, but he was moving. He was moving behind me, so he was going to go right past me. And I think he was going to where I'd originally called from. And he was moving in a pretty good step. And at that time, all I could tell was a turkey. I couldn't even tell that it was a tom or anything. I thought, is it a tom? Like I'm assuming it is. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's the same turkey because I'm getting ready to shoot, and I had to twist my body all the way to the right. I was shooting that same Remington 1100, 28-inch barrel with a screw-in choke and double X Magnum number 6s, and I shot him while I was walking. His head was tucked in, and I shot him at probably 30, 35 yards, somewhere around there. And I went over there, and that's when I saw, that it was a double beard, and I saw it was big and everything. So I walked out. I remember I had him in my turkey vest on my back, and I was walking out in the sun. I had to go across a creek and then go through some hardwoods. And I remember the sun came up behind me. It just came up behind me, and the light was coming through the woods as I was walking through there. And I just had like a big smile on my face. I was all by myself, but I just had a big smile on my face. And so started just threw him in the back of the truck. Wasn't thinking about getting it mounted or anything. I didn't know anything about getting turkeys mounted or anything like that. I went home, and my ex-wife was talking about, well, do you want to try to get mounted? I was like, I don't have any idea about getting turkeys mounted. I don't know anything about it. So I started looking it up online, and I saw it's kind of a specialized thing, and didn't seem to be anybody around. It's back in 2007. There wasn't a lot of stuff online either. It's not like today where everybody's got a smartphone in their hand. But I found a guy 3 to 3.5 hours away from me that did fish and turkeys, or fish and waterfowl and turkey, stuff like that. So I call him up. He says, yeah. He says, have you got it wrapped this way? Have you got it wrapped? I said, yeah, I've already got it double. I've got it down like in a game sack. I've got all the feathers pressed down. I got it double wrapped. It's in a double wrapped trash bags taped off. And that's what I saw it do online. So that's what I did. And he said, yeah, so we made it time to bring it down there. And I saw on his website, a guy, one of the turkeys that someone had done, or he had done for someone, was done just like this on a piece of driftwood, goblin just like this, in the same configuration, had the tail like this. And as soon as I saw this, man, I want mine done like that. So I told the guy, I said, I want mine done. When I went up there to meet him, a friend of mine from work, an older guy, he went with me. Went up there, and I told him I want mine done just like that one that you have on your website. He said, okay. So I put the deposit down, and so then it was like the following year. So it'd be 2008. It was summertime. So it'd already been over a year since he had it. And he called me. He says, man, I hate to tell you this, but it's going to be a little bit longer because I've got a messed up back, and my back, I've been pretty much laid up on my back and haven't been able to really do anything. And I said, that's fine, man. I said, I understand. So then, I don't know, a couple weeks later, month, something like that, he calls me up. He says, your turkey's ready. He says, but I also got something else to tell you. He says, as long as you can keep a secret. And I said, okay, well, yeah. And he's like, did you hear about the one of the highest scoring turkeys that got killed over in Chatham County? I said, no, I haven't heard about that. He said, yeah, I got killed this spring over in Chatham County. It's a 7-beard turkey. And he said, that guy, because yours was hanging on my wall, ready to get picked up. And he said that guy that killed that 7-beard over in Chatham County. When he walked in, he saw yours sitting on the wall. He says, "I want mine done like that guy's." So the guy with the 7-beard, it's over in Chatham County, had it done just like this. But I thought that was pretty interesting, and it's kind of a cool story. But so when I went to pick up the turkey, this is another part of the story. When I went to pick up this turkey, he said the configuration that's in, it's a pretty big. It was during that gas crunch that we had. I don't know if you guys remember that gas crunch in 2008. We had something. I can't remember why it was, what happened. So I had a truck and a car. I had a Mazda 6 and I had my Chevrolet Z71. And the gas prices, like, it just went crazy. I mean, if you could even get gas. And I was like, well, what if I drive a Mazda up there? He said, "I don't know about that. I don't know if you're going to be able to fit it in there." So the same guy that went up with me from work, he went up with me because I'm going to need to hold it. And when he saw that I drove the car, the taxidermist was like, "Man, I thought I told you should have brought your truck." And that's when all of a sudden, like this, because we just drove like 3.5 hours. He's like, I thought you were gonna drive your truck up here, and I was like, well, the gas prices and all that. So I had to literally sit like all crooked in the back seat with this thing, and it took up like the whole back seat, and the head of it was sticking up towards the front. It was just all like crazy. And we're driving down the road, and I remember we're driving out of town. We pulled up a stoplight, and and there's a whole carload of people sitting next to us, and they're like looking over, like talking to each other, like pointing at us and everything, with this big turkey in the car. And we rode back home like that, and I was just cramping up I had to hold it, a certain way, and I didn't want it to fall and break or anything like that. So I had to hold it like that the whole way back. And it did. I moved a couple times with it, and it did fall at one point and break a little bit of the beak off, and it's got like a hairline fracture. Goes up and around right there. And I set it up moved the couch and into the new place, the new house, and I had it sitting on the couch with pillows propping it up. I thought it was pretty stable, and I was going to go ahead and put the screws in the studs and stuff like that, and I heard it fall, and I just had I just knew that something bad, like I was just expecting the head to be off of it or something, and it didn't. It fell beak first right onto the floor. It broke the tip of the beak off, put a hairline fracture in it. Luckily, it didn't break off. But so yeah, that's the complete story of the turkey from the year before. The guy going up there, buddy of mine, and trying to get a shot on it the last couple minutes of light the year before, and then that's it. And in that property, that was the last turkey that I killed on that property. The following couple years, I didn't see any turkey sign. I don't know where they went, what happened. I started calling the farmers around there, trying to figure out what was going on with the turkey situation, because it's like they just disappeared. And I had turkeys all over the place down there. And then they just, like, for a year, the following 2 seasons, nothing. No gobbles, no turkeys, no nothing. And oh yeah, so the weight on it was 24 pounds. The spurs are 1.5 inches. So that was the size of it. And I've killed some other turkeys that have been 23. I've killed some birds that have been 23 pounds. None of them have been 24. So this is the biggest one. It just so happens because I thought, well, I'll get it done. I'll spend the time and money to get this one done. I'll kill one bigger, and I never have killed one bigger. So, but yeah, like I said, the deal with that is that land over in Stanley County, somebody leased it from out underneath me. It was a friend of mine that I worked with, and he did me kind of dirty with that whole thing because I had already offered to pay, and he turned it down, and he turns around and leases it to somebody else and doesn't even tell me. And I'm out there for dove season, and a guy shows up and pretty much just was. He pretty much just ran me off. He was and I knew who he was. I'd talked to him before, and I didn't know any of that stuff was going down. But we'll go over some of these deer sometime. But it's turkey season, and I figured I'd show that double beard and kind of tell the story on that. So after that whole deal, I had to find other places to turkey hunt, and I guess it was kind of good because, like I said, it had dried up over there. And but yeah, anyway. So all right, well, y'all have a good one.